Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably already know that this is my new deep dive series in which I'm exploring working with the Egyptian Tarot by C.C. Zane and the Brotherhood of Light. And just in case you are new here, let me give you a brief rundown of what I'm doing. So every day, actually the night before, I shuffle my colored version of the deck. I have two versions of the tarot, the Egyptian tarot. One in color, which is a fairly new, relatively new mass market version of the deck. And then I have an older, very, very out of print, charcoal gray and white deck, which I keep in order and I don't want to shuffle because I want to keep it as pristine as possible. I think of it as my birthday deck. I think it was published the same year I was born. So that's why I want to keep that one intact. The color one I can replace if I need to. So I shuffle that one, the color one, and I pull a card. And then I look at the card both in color and in the old black and white deck version, gray and white deck. And then I pull three cards from a different deck that I'm more familiar with, the Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. I pull three cards. I do a 3-card spread. Yeah, energy, challenge, advice. I use those 3 cards to help me unpack the daily draw card from the Egyptian Tarot. And then I live my day. At the end of the day, I come back here and I film this video. So that's what I'm doing now. And I don't have much of a preamble for this. Let's get right into it. Here is the daily draw for today. So you saw that the daily draw for today was the 5 of Wands. And let me show you those cards together right now. So here are the 5 of Wands. And you can see in these 2 cards, you just saw them a little bit ago, that this is a pip deck, right? And the 5 wands are in the shape of a pentacle. And there's a constellation on the cards. The position of the constellation and the position of the stars in the constellation are a little bit different in each version. Can you see that? In this version, the constellation is up here at the top. In this version, the constellation is a little bit lower. And the number of stars looks a little bit different to me, but they're supposed to be the same constellation. Can you see that? What is the constellation? Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. So 5 of Wands. You see here, we've got Leo, and we've got Sagittarius. And then at the bottom corner, we've got Jupiter, right? So what does that mean? So this is the 5 of Wands, which points to Sagittarius, the Sagittarius decanate of Leo, and its sub-ruler Jupiter, from which the cardinal aspect of fixed fire attributes enter our world. Now, this is the phrase that I'm practicing now, yeah? So again, this is the Sagittarius decanate of Leo and its sub-ruler Jupiter. Now, the sun is the domicile for Leo. Well, Leo is the domicile for the sun, but Leo is separated into 3 decanates, right? And in this decanate, it's Saturn of Leo, which has the sub-ruler Jupiter. So Jupiter in Leo is this decanate. And so we've got the cardinal aspect of fixed fire. Fixed fire is Leo, cardinal. The Sagittarius aspect of fixed fire Leo. And that enters our world. Along with, according to C.C. Zane, the constellation of Centaurus. Centaurus. So let's talk about Centaurus for just a moment. Centaurus, I went online and looked it up. Centaurus is a constellation in the sky, and I think this depiction is probably more accurate, but let me show you just that constellation right now. So that's actually, I've found different ways that people join the stars for this constellation when I was searching online. And this is the one that I thought gave the best representation of what this probably is. Now, Centaurus. Who is Centaurus? Centaurus is the father of the centaurs. Not a centaur, but the father of the centaurs. So let me give you a little bit of background on Centaurus. Centaurus's father is Ixion, who was a king of Lapith. But this king of Lapith was banished by his people. They thought he was nuts. They thought he was bonkers, and they banished him. But Zeus took pity on him and said, oh, this poor guy, let's bring him up to Olympus. So Zeus brings Ixion up to Olympus. But Ixion, up there among the gods, apparently gets starstruck, is smitten with none other than Zeus's wife Hera. And Zeus becomes suspicious of Ixion. Now, why gods get suspicious of mortals? Who knows? But Zeus got suspicious, and so he wanted to check. He wanted to double check the purity, the nobility of this mad king Ixion. So what does he do? He takes clouds, to create Nephele. Now, Nephele actually comes from the root word for cloud in Greek. So he creates Nephele, which at first was in the form of none other than his wife Hera. And he places this now cloud nymph, Nephele, in the form of Hera next to the sleeping Ixion. And Ixion wakes up and is overcome with passion for who he thinks is Hera, and sleeps with this cloud formation in the form of Hera. And Zeus is, of course, really pissed off. So he smites Ixion with a lightning bolt and sends Ixion up into the sky on an eternal wheel of fire. So Ixion is up there in the heavens for eternity, spinning on a wheel of fire as punishment. But we've still got this cloud now nymph who has slept with Ixion and becomes pregnant and gives birth to none other than Centaurus. And Centaurus, you might imagine, comes out deformed and is embarrassed by and doesn't really get along with other humans. So Centaurus runs away to the hills, runs away to the mountains. He runs to Pelion. Now, we'll get to Pelion in just a moment. He runs away to Pelion to hide out as a hermit, but he has needs. He has desires, and he takes out his desires on the wild mares, female horses, mares in the neighborhood. And the mares apparently don't really appreciate it all that much, but apparently he has his way with them. And as he places his seed in the mares, these mares give birth to the centaurs, half man, half horse. That's where we get the centaurs. Now, Pelion is very famous. It's very famous as the iconic home of a very famous, probably the most famous centaur, who is Chiron. Chiron the good, Chiron the just. The other centaurs are generally known to be a little bit wild, a little bit untamable, but Chiron is the just one. And Chiron ends up being the mentor and the one who raises Jason and the Argonauts, Jason and the Golden Fleece, that Jason. So this is, of course, all Greek mythology is this long lineage of this begets that, begets the other thing, which is interacting with this thing, and it interacts with the other thing. So that's who Chiron is. Chiron is the father of all of the centaurs because his dad was at first a little bit pitiful, but He didn't do his God good. Yeah, he slept with his God's wife. So that's Chiron. And that is the constellation of this card. So what do we have? We've got this poor deformed creature who is filled with passion and creates a whole new species, the centaurs, powerful beings. And it's 5 of wands, right? The fives, like our 5 fingers, yeah? The thumb of will. It's also so for C.C. Zane, this is the card of reformation, which is interesting. So with this cardinal aspect of fixed fire, good fortune enters. The planet is Jupiter, yeah, abundance, wealth, luck, prosperity. So good fortune enters our business lives, yeah? Social interactions increase successes, and our success lifts up those around us. Yeah, we can have successful performance in this 5 of wands. Inspiration of spirituality and faith is also part of this. Yeah, the 5th element of spirit is impassioned with the wands. So we are benefited from our philosophical attitudes, and our philosophical attitudes also benefit those around us in many, many ways. So that is my card for the day. So that's a pretty good card, but I wanted to unpack that card. What does that mean for me? What does that mean for me during the day? And so I pulled a 3-card spread from the Tarot of the Holy Light. Let me show you those cards right now. So you just saw those 3 cards, right? What did we have? We had the 6 of Wands upright. We had the Page of Wands also upright. And then we had the Queen of Swords reversed. So this deck, both of these decks are being really, really friendly to me at the beginning of this, this deep dive. Just to let you know, I feel blessed and I feel very supported by these 2 decks. 6 of Wands. So the 6 of Wands, you see this beautiful image, yeah? We got the Leo lion, which is an emperor symbol. We've got the eagle, a Scorpio symbol, but both of them are regal symbols, right? Fire and water together in one aspect of symbology. But they're together in a playful, in good relations, right? And we've got the planets around. This seems like the 6 of Wands seems like a very bountiful card. And the 6 of Wands points to the Leo decadent of Leo. Leo in Leo, yeah? Super Leo, which actually should be my birth card for my sun sign, because I am Leo, and I'm in the 1st decade of Leo for my sign. So yeah, it could be Leo of Leo, me. That's me. And its sub-ruler, the sun. So we've got the sun for the whole house of Leo, and we've also got the sun in the decadent of Leo, because it's Leo of Leo. So there's a lot of power there. So we got the fixed energy, the fixed aspects of a fixed fire sign. A lot of fixedness in this fire sign. But it's also it's strengthened. We might want to be careful of getting too fixed, too rigid here, but it is very well strengthened, right? So what does it mean for us? Yeah, this is the heart. The 6th Sephiroth is the heart of the tree of life. It's right there in the center, and the 6th Sephiroth is actually also the sun. So, in Tiferet, yeah, the 6th Sephiroth of the tree of life, which has a symbol of the sun, is Tiferet. Perfect. Heart, sun, Leo, it all works beautifully together. So in this card, we see that understanding ourselves and in an environment of dualities. Now you see these dualities here, the lion and the eagle, the fire and the water is a duality, right? So we understand ourselves in this environment of dualities, who we are, what is important to us, how do we evolve, how do we integrate, how do we self-actualize in this world of dualities, which frankly we came here to enjoy. If we weren't interested in experiencing dualities, we would not have entered these beautiful, beautiful bodies that we are co-creating. So we're here to enjoy the show. But how do we evolve in the midst of the show? Who are we? And as we understand who we are and what we want to accomplish here and in which direction we are evolving, we learn how we can reveal our true desires for ourselves. And what is our true desire? Our true desires are those which actually benefit those around us. And because we know that our true desire is of benefit for our community, for those around us, we are also benefited doubly from them. As we benefit others, we receive double benefit. Now, as our collective is raised up by our manifestation and by our growth and our evolution, we are also lifted up with the rest that we are lifting up. So generosity to others is actually a way of receiving. The way we give is the way we receive. And also we realize that we are, in this upright version, we are the first among equals. Because while we are extraordinarily special, we are not special at all, because everybody else is equally special. Does that make sense? Is that understandable? That's what this card is here to remind us of. And that the inspiration for the leonine generosity can be super amped up in this card. Not in the sense that we're going to burn other people up with our generosity, which is a danger, but that our generosity is amplified to the point that our hearts can radiate even more brightly in this environment of Leo in Leo. And beautifully, the Page of Wands comes in to support us with that. The Page of Wands, who is this? You see this beautiful page surrounded by fire in the background. We've got two suns and two moons in opposite corners of the cards. Yeah, we've got the page holding an alchemical symbol in his hand. We got a staff of power in his other hand. This page is the one serving the Queen of Wands, who in this deck is Aries. A beautiful card in this deck, by the way, the Queen of Wands. All the cards are beautiful, but the Queen of Wands is also particularly beautiful. So this page is the servant of the Queen of Aries, Sagittarius. Oops, I may have misspoke. It may be Sagittarius. It may be Sagittarius. Let's see. So just a moment. Libra is a cardinal sign, and I think it should be Aries. Okay. Well, anyways. That's neither here nor there. It's the Queen of Wands that he is the servant of. So, this page is the original Bohemian, according to Christine Payne-Towler, and I like that description, because this is the Bohemian. There are some people who are Bohemians for show. Let's just lay that on the table. There are some people who are out there being interesting and different to get attention. That's not who this page is. This page is a true Bohemian. This page doesn't care what the heck you think of him or her or them. This is the Bohemian of the heart, the one who is interested in what they are interested in, and damn the rest of them. But they're interested in some very helpful things. They're interested in education, teaching those around them. Yeah, again, the generosity of lifting others up. Yeah? This person is allied with their own inspiration rather than following trends. It follows their own inner passions, their own desires, rather than what everybody else thinks is important or what other people think should be important to them. They find simple solutions to complex problems. They're networked. They know a lot of people, but they're not tied to anybody because they're walking their own path in service of the Queen. But they're in service of the Queen because that is what they're inspired to do, not because they're tied to or bound to the Queen in some servitude, in some relationship of bound servitude. But this is the servitude of, yes, that's what I want to do. And this is the kind of page that will spend hours and hours teaching and inspiring just for the joy of doing that. And we can assume that when the joy goes out of that, then it's time to move on, right? So we've got these two cards, the energy, and the challenge is for me in this energy of generosity to become, I believe, the Page of Wands. And what is the advice? The advice was the Queen of Swords, which is Libra. Let me show you the Queen of Swords upright here. We've got this beautiful image of this woman with very easily holding this sword up over their shoulder, and we've got the triangle, the fire triangle behind them with the eye of spirit in that triangle. We've got this intelligent divine eye as this queen's backup. We've also got these angels on either side of the divine eye. So we've got Sophia looking into the world through the eyes of the Queen of Swords, perhaps. So upright, this is, and let me quote, because I love the way Christine Payne-Towler described this. Upright for the Libra, Queen of Swords. Only self-aware people who are internally consistent and possess integrity, those who walk their talk and show their refinement of being, refinement of long cultivation, can truly be comfortable with this mistress of the swords. Again, only self-aware people who are internally consistent and possess integrity. Those who walk their talk and show the refinement of long cultivation, only those people can be truly comfortable with this mistress of the swords. Because she's not going to put up with any bullshit. She's not going to put up with any fake masks or untruths or shows or displays of false modesty or false intelligence or any of that. So if you come in with something that isn't right, you're going to get taught, you're going to get it cut off. Now in reverse, she becomes a little bit harsh. Now she becomes sharp. Not in the sharp, clever sense, which she is in the upright, can be harsh, kind of sharp. Yeah? Dressing down those who, if they make a little mistake or offend. She's a little bit too quick on the trigger when it comes to talking people down. She will push she'll push our buttons. Yeah, she's a button pusher. She'll push our buttons to see what kind of reaction we will have, to get us to act like a person. What does that mean? She wants us to act like human beings, or at least what she considers to be a true human being. And she's got really high standards. So if we're not behaving like a human being according to her, she's going to push your buttons until you start behaving right, until you start doing right. She easily uses guilt and shame to get what she wants. No, to get not really what she wants, to get what she knows is right. And I say knows is right. She'll shame you into doing the right thing according to her. And usually she's right. The Queen of Swords is the really, really smart one of the pack. She's got wit. She's independent. She won't be moved. Her sight is clear. But in reversed, that gets kind of harsh. Her sense of tact is out of the window. And her desire to get in there and fix things is a little bit stronger. So the advice for me today, I think, is don't do this. And I can do that sometimes. Sometimes, I'm not as smart as the Queen of Swords, but I can sometimes lean into that aspect of myself sometimes, even though, because in a way, to me, there's also a hint, a taste of Scorpio in that, the stinger of Scorpio is not, the stinger of Scorpio doesn't want to sting you just because you showed up. That stinger is there only if you start effing up, right? And it reminds me of my grandmother a little bit, who's a Scorpio. So I wanted to be careful of those aspects. So let me tell you about my day. My day was a good day. I didn't do all that much, but I think a couple of things became evident. One is that some of the people who I'm going away, I think I probably already told you this, I'm going away on a trip to, not a vacation, but a trip to teach at a winter camp. And I'm going with some of my colleagues. And some of my colleagues and I are going to go together, like in the same car. But I've noticed that the driver of the car and one of my other colleagues have not really been communicating. And so I didn't want to step in and do this if you folks are not doing the right thing and you start being humans. I didn't want to do that, right? And I avoided that. Instead, what I wanted to do was generously communicate what I knew to the others so that they could make the decisions so that both of them could be informed. Yeah? Without saying, so-and-so did this, or, so-and-so is expecting this. I entered into conversation and shared the knowledge that I had, and I think I was able to gently let each other know that they would both benefit from being a little bit more communicative with each other. I think I was able to do that without saying that. Yeah, we're talking about other things. I just mentioned that I mentioned to person A that, person B told me that they had these things to take care of on the day that we're leaving. And I'm wondering if they know that you were planning on leaving at this time. I said to person B, this person I think is planning on leaving earlier than you are thinking. And are you going to be able to do what you are planning to do in that amount of time before we take off, or do things need to be adjusted? And so that's how I handled things there. I also stumbled into a deck, like one of my unicorns, the Spirit Keepers Tarot. I have the Revelations edition, but I've really, really, really wanted the Vitruvian edition, the Sepia Tone 1, to go as a pair, to be a sister deck to the Revelations edition, and one came available, and I jumped on it. And the process of figuring out how to do this transaction was not as easy or smooth as I thought it might be, and I gave ample opportunity for the person to say, no, I don't think this is the best way for this transaction to go. But the seller apparently wanted to sell to me, and so that was good, and so we worked it out. And it turns out that the seller wants the money to help somebody else, and so there's that mutual uplifting of things. So I felt even more better. I felt better about what I had offered to pay for the deck, because I know that extra money that I offered, and I had debated about how much to offer. I pulled out my pendulum this morning to decide how much I wanted to offer, and my gut intuition told me to offer X instead of Y, or actually Y instead of X. And the person was very happy with that amount. And now I'm glad I offered more because of the purposes that the reasons that the seller is selling the debt. So that was that another sense of uplifting by generosity and by care. And by not saying, no, this isn't going the way it should. I'm out. You should, you know what I mean? Also, remember I mentioned that there's somebody who's showing interest in me. Well, it's moved on to another level of interest. And at first I started a knee-jerk reaction of, no, this isn't right. We're not there yet. But then I thought, okay, now breathe. Perhaps this is an opportunity for me to uplift here as well, without slashing down my sword. So I think I had the opportunity to radiate heart in several instances today, and I did notice those few times when that I think this aspect was about to appear for me, and I think I was able to nip it in the bud and move back into the teaching and the generosity and the caring for in my independence kind of way, which is also the business business receiving good fortune, and also the business creating good fortune of the Five of Wands. Does that make sense? Have I made have I tied it all in together and shown how that has reflected itself within my day for today? I hope so. If I have, let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to hear from you. What do you think? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell first so that you get notifications of when I upload videos. I'm trying to do one a day. Hit the thumbs up button if you're still here so that YouTube knows that you got something out of this, and other people may get something out of it, and it'll draw more eyes to the channel. It will really help the channel and hopefully those who are drawn to it. Of course, they can make their decision once they get here whether they want to stay or not. That's all good. And so, friends, there we are. Here we are with episode 4 of my deep dive series. And I'm greatly appreciative of you. I hope you have felt uplifted a little bit. I have felt uplifted by your presence. And so, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.